Hey everybody, I cannot believe we are in the 8th week already. This is our last module. And boy, that was not enough time because there's just so much that I would want to cover with you guys in 8 weeks and just just doesn't do it. But oh well, maybe you'll be in my class in the fall. It's a longer one. And we'll be repeating some of the same things, but you can always keep moving forward. So anyway, with that, let's get started. I think for this week, I had said in the syllabus anyway that we were going to cover some ideas for travel sketching. And there's so many different things we can do with travel sketching. And even as some of you might be traveling, and I know a lot of places are still closed or starting to close again, and it's sad and frustrating, but there's ways we can travel vicariously, of course, and sketch that way and practice up and be all ready for when things do open up or when we do get the opportunity to travel. But maybe maybe you're traveling locally, or maybe you are still traveling. I don't know. So I want to be able to show you a few ideas for that. And also, I just want to keep it open if there are things that you really were hoping to learn this summer from me and I haven't covered it yet. Please, hopefully you're looking at this video before our Zoom on Wednesday. If so, just email me quickly and I'll be sure to address it in our Zoom. So it doesn't have to be about travel, it can be about anything. So hopefully Wednesday we'll take care of all of it, whatever I didn't do. It'll be just a cleanup day and end of the quarter or semester day and onward. So with that, let's talk about traveling and sketching and what to do when you are on the road and out and about. Sometimes you want to just, keep it as simple as possible. If you are going on a trip specifically to paint, draw, and things like that, and you're traveling by car, or you just have a really big suitcase, then by all means, pack everything you can. I've on purpose haven't flown places. I mean, I fly too, but I mean, if I know I want to do a lot of painting, I'll fill up my whole trunk with stuff and, forget the clothes and the other stuff that can go in the back seat or whatever, a tiny little duffel bag, but the art supplies go. And I'll have a trip that's just about that. But generally, and especially if you're traveling with somebody else who's maybe not patient about what we like to do as artists, you want to keep it compact and small and simple and make it as easy as possible. Because if you have to do a big setup every time you go to a new place, you'll find yourself not doing it. So a sketchbook is great. A sketchbook and a pencil is great. A sketchbook and a few colored pencils or watercolor pencils, or even just like a tiny set of watercolors. Anything like that to add some color in a really easy way. Having your little water brush that I've shown you before. I'm wondering if mine's here or not, but anyway, I'm working from home today because I'm cat sitting my cat. So I have a lot of the stuff we need. But yeah, just to say, sometimes it is fun to have a specific dedicated sketchbook just to a specific trip. And then you're really anxious to fill it up with things. And that's a great thing to do. I am all for just keeping the cruddy sketchbooks, the working sketchbooks that you're going to do. But when I go on a trip, I like to splurge and get something a little special. I got my newest splurge. I picked this one up the other day in anticipation of this trip I'm planning, and it's gonna happen next summer. So I don't know if I'll use this in the meantime, but I couldn't resist because I love the cover. And it has the little rubber band that's going to keep it. It has a little pocket, and you can make stuff too, but it has a little pocket to put your little memorabilia or ticket stubs or whatever in there. And I think there's one on the other side. Yeah, so 2 pockets that sort of accordions out. Oops. And a little pocket here as well in the front. And then really neat watercolor paper, nice, thick, beautiful texture. So I think it's going to be, yeah, there's the front. I think it's going to be a fun one to use. So hopefully, I'm supposed to be going on a trip with my best friend to France and Spain and Italy. And so I think this would be the one to take. So yeah, getting a little, whatever, this size or smaller little sketchbook to bring with you. and making it really special, a place where you can maybe take, ticket stubs or business cards of a restaurant you ate, painting, doing a little sketch of the food or whatever, doing a little sketch of the fountain in the square where you were having your coffee or your espresso, things like that. It's really fun just to kind of keep it journal style, as well as, writing about the experience as well as painting it. Because sometimes, I mean, I did a cross country trip once, like 6 times, but anyway, where I've painted along the whole way, and then it's like, wait, where was that? I mean, because the middle of America, kind of, I mean, hopefully I'm not offending anybody. I like the middle of America, but a lot of it looks the same, and I think it's just the flatness of it. So I would look at something like, yes, there's a beautiful cornfield, or sunflower field, or whatever it was, and it's like, was that Nebraska? Was that, I'm not sure. So writing about it, what was it that caught your eye that you wanted to do that particular field or that monument or whatever. Monuments are easier to remember sometimes, but sometimes not. So writing about whatever it is you saw and you painted, or the food, what was it? What did it taste like? What was the name of the restaurant? Who were you with that day? Things like that as you're traveling. Just capturing those moments, both in word, in poetry, in just a few descriptions, and then as well with your eyes and with your paintings and scribbles and sketches. So that, I mean, to me, that's the ultimate of travel sketching. It's just like, they don't have to be perfect. They can be scribbles. You can do it all in pencil. And then when you get back to the hotel or the Airbnb or whatever, add the color then. Or you can, if you're with somebody that's patient, then just add it, or add it in a quick way. It doesn't have to be, get away from the idea of the perfect finished paintings or finished drawings or whatever it is you're doing. This is more about just getting in the moment. It's so much better than just taking a quick shot with your iPhone, because you get to actually sit there with whatever it is, the buildings, the town square. All right, so let me switch my camera, and I've got my Art for Travelers in Italy book. I just grabbed off the shelf because, of course, that's going with me. It's where to find all the really great art in Italy. It just details it all. But it also happened to have some neat pictures that I thought we could do for now. There's also what we did last week with Webcam Taxi. Remember that. So if you can't take that trip to Italy like you wanted to, because I was supposed to be going this summer, but if you can't do that, then go on Webcam Taxi to Italy and draw from there and sketch and practice the live sketching. That's a great thing to do. For here, I wanted to be able to just show you a few things, but probably, depending on what else we need to cover, Wednesday, kind of plan on that, bringing some materials to class, and we will hopefully be doing some travel sketching there. Yeah, the problem is that we meet in the morning and it's dark in Italy, so we're just be traveling in America probably, or Canada, or someplace where it's light. So maybe we'll go to Alaska. That would be fun. Okay, so here's San Gimignano, one of my very favorite places in the world. I love the towers. I stayed in Col Valdelsa, which is like just the hill next to here, and we just look out our balcony and see on our tower. We went up in our tower and we could see the other towers. It used to be just a town full of towers because they were all, on the lookout for marauders and whoever. So the city state. So there's kind of so many ways to attack something like this. I've got big sketch paper out, so I'm just gonna do like a little, pretend my page is that big, and I'm out on site. It's in, let's see, I'm trying to think of a way where it's in camera, but not in my way. And not in your way, so you can see what I'm drawing. Let's see. Keep it open that way. All right. Okay, so if I was just using a pen that day, maybe that would be the way I would do this one. I don't know. Would I put necessarily, if I was there in the spring and everything was in blossom, I like that, but I don't necessarily like the composition of this photo. So maybe I would put this bending around it or something to frame it. That could be fun. as an artist, you can do that. You don't have to draw everything right as you see it. You can reimagine it a little bit to make it more. Oh, this is the brush pen. Okay, I was thinking I was getting the other one. Yeah, maybe not a brush pen. It'll be too dark for this. I'm gonna keep this lighter. Go with this fountain pen. We'll see. Okay, so if I was going to draw this, I would just really just want to rough in the buildings a little bit, the towers, get the idea of the towers, and that's San Gimignano. And you know, all that we did with perspective and everything, you can keep some of that information in, or you can just say, hey, I'm just trying to get this fast. I don't care. Well, I'll have that shadowed area up there at the top of the building. I'm going to start getting some of those windows in. The tower. Again, that's a side there, that's a side there. And you could just, you know, honestly just do little hash marks for it, for the shading. It end up looking very New York-like until you put the field around it. Okay. And I think if we just, you know, like if I did go back in here with some color and getting some of the pinks and the terracotta rooftops and things like that. So just knowing that, you know, you can just kind of do this however you want. I'm getting my hand in the way. I just realized that. Really, you're just trying to catch the idea, what you saw, and maybe you just want the impression of these buildings and stores and, you know, the little village. Oh my goodness, I'm here with my dad and we had this big van for some reason. And San Gimignano has the tiniest little streets. They're very narrow. I advise just walking in that town. You tempted to take the van in. Oh, what a disaster. I will never forget. It was so embarrassing, so sad. We had to back our way back down and then end up, you know, hiking up to most of this. So you get sort of an idea of that going on, and then we could just like deal with what's in the foreground with vineyards and hillside and just kind of give that idea too. And maybe I would just get some rows going to there, out, extending out. And then the rest I might, I don't know if I get the tree and look into. I do like the idea of those blossoms. Because if I was there when it was blossoming, I would undoubtedly want to capture that. At least a little bit. And the vines. Which again, that's a perspective thing too. I'm drawing grapevines because they're going to be bigger, closer to you, getting closer together and smaller as they go down the row. You kind of get the idea of it. And you're just making little indication marks because, I mean, you can get as detailed as you want. You can sit there and study and get the texture of the vine, whatever, if you can actually see it, if you're that close to it. Or you can just make these little hatch marks to give the idea. Because once I fill this in with color or a little bit of color, it's going to make more sense. These are further away, so not as much detail. Anyway, you got the idea. You have this idea of vineyard. Maybe I would want to write about just my, maybe I just write the name of it, earth in. Chimignano. Was enchanting. I don't know. Oh, the views. Yeah, corny. This is why paint not right, but write about whatever it is you did that day, whatever was fun. And then you go back to, the hotel later and you can get out your little thing of paints. And even if you just bring like my little tin with me, maybe that's what I would take with me to the trip, because that's easy to carry. It's not taking a whole bunch of supplies. And I bring my water brush, but I think it's in my studio. Or in my, it's in my car. I always have one in the car, but oh well, let's just do this. So with this, I take the paper out. Now I have a mixing tray. Get some yellow. I had the water brush, I would just squeeze that out to be able to rinse. If you're in the hotel, you can do all this. Let's see. So maybe just getting a little bit of the idea of vineyard by going this. Oh, this is kind of water soluble, or not water soluble, I mean water. Oh well, it's okay. Anyway, you're just getting a little bit of color on, not too much. You just want to get, oh right, the terracotta idea. Let's get a little red. Orangey. I can get some of those pink rooftops, just little bits here and there. And if I get, some more than others, or I want it to maybe not be that dark, I can always pull up on that. I can pull down on it too, get a little more color in some of that. Keeping it super loose. And the buildings are a little bit more gray. So probably too much on it now. All right. Get the sides. And then some. This is not necessarily watercolor paper, but it's okay. Again, you just want the idea. You don't want too much. Less is more, I think. Something like this. I can go in with those blossoms. Going in with a red, but I'm going to drop a little more water on there. And I'll fix them up with the no, I'm just going to use a sponge because it's here. But you pick it up with a paper towel, sponge, whatever, and you can go back in, drop more color. You can get a blue sky in there. You can get the, the green. Maybe the mustard was going then, I don't know, but it's not in this picture, but and then if I wanted a blue sky, I can even put like just a little bit of blue, just a hint. Ooh, that's a bright blue, but I'm gonna turn it down with a little bit of red. Now it's kind of a grayish sky, which I would have rather had a brighter sky, but that's okay. I should have kept it straight cerulean. Oh well, let me see. Pick that up with sponge too. Let's get it. And there we go. So it's messy, but it's there. Yeah, we can move on. I could go and fix it. Oh, definitely would want to do those lines, not with red. But let's get brownish. There we go. And this is why, like, you could go really fast like this. You could take your time more. When you get back to the room, you have a glass of wine or whatever, and just play with your color then, you know. If you're really trying to remember what the color was. You can make color notes, or you can do it on site. It's fun to do it on site if you have the time. But if you don't, you know, definitely something you can fill in later. Anyway, you get the idea. This is travel sketching 101. Okay, so maybe I want to, we've moved on. We have left San Gimignano. We're in Florence area. This is the Palazzo Vecchio. So maybe I just want to get a tower idea. And I might not want to get the whole building and all the surrounds. So I want you to know that you have permission to, let me pull it down so you can see the whole thing, to just maybe just want the idea of the tower. You were there, you were sitting in this square over here where it's a delightful place to go get a cappuccino or an espresso, and you're sitting there just enjoying that view, and you just want to say, okay, I just want to quickly sketch it. So you can grab your Sketch and Wash pencil, or even just whatever you have, and number 2, it doesn't matter. I like actually traveling with mechanical pencils too, because then I don't have to worry about bringing the sharpener. Well, I bring them both, but yeah, theoretically, I like the idea of that because yeah, then I wouldn't have to sharpen, and you just have a lot of lead with you, and those last forever. You never really have to change them. Take a couple in case you lose one. So maybe you just want to just get that idea. A little far with that. Well, it's kind of coming in at a slight angle there. And it's a little, which when you're in person, you're going to be able to see a lot better too, as far as the details. I'm going from a little mini picture in a travel book. It's funny because yeah, I'm looking at the picture on the screen instead of the one in front of me. That's hilarious. I could have a little bit better shot. Oh well. Bring that down. And it just, you know, it could just be a relaxing thing. It doesn't have to be, I want you to take the pressure off yourself, especially if you're on a trip, you know, but anytime, take the pressure off yourself and make it just be about relaxing time, you know, having fun with whoever you're with. And if I don't want to get that whole building or all of the town in, maybe I just want the tower, or maybe the idea of it, I could drop it down in a really casual way. Should I actually draw these things? I get impatient. But it's that you have permission to do that. You want to catch whatever it is that you want to catch, and it's okay if that's all you get. If you know, you don't get the whole building, nobody cares. They want kind of like the idea of the building. Okay, these go. Architecture is fun in person because you're you know, you're noticing things that you didn't notice. If you just grabbed a picture of this with your iPhone, you wouldn't necessarily be paying attention to the way these little alcoves are in there or whatever. You know, there's things that you notice sometimes, like especially in the architecture in Europe. I mean, the gargoyles and the other things that are built into these structures are just amazing what they did. Still do. Our buildings are just so plain and ordinary. I'm always just so jealous. Look at all this stuff. Anyway, oh, I'm off camera. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I just realized that. You're seeing my picture, but not everything. Okay, anyway, there we go. So I got an idea of it in. And what if, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm sketching the building and I kind of have enough an idea of it done. And I want to just really remember, where I was at this cafe. I don't know. This is getting messy. So, and again, you can't see it. New things. Okay. So maybe I would just get a table going with my little cappuccino that I was enjoying. Maybe I'm here with my best friend and we're both having cappuccinos. She's got the little one. I've got the cappuccino. She's got the espresso, tiny cup, bigger cup. And then I can also write about that. I can go in and get color in that with whatever. If I wanted to just give it a quick, maybe not quite so, a little bit orangey or quick little wash of color over all of that. Or again, you could use your colored pencils. You could use whatever you have with you, or you could do this later. Let's see if I have anything else that I could fill in for sky. Yeah. Like maybe you would want to bring a box of pastels. They're fun to bring when you travel because you could just kind of work with them really, really fast. These are not hard, soft pastels. So they're soft pastels, but they're, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this, but anyway, I'm just gonna go for it anyway. So say I wanted a sky all around that, I can smudge it in fairly quickly, just like that, and get the idea of sky. I got on my wet watercolor. But yeah, so you do something like this if you're not wanting to bring anything wet with you or the travel brush, which, just kind of depends what you like to do. And close, I've got my coffee, my espresso. So maybe I put something like that on the table to stand up. Maybe I had a bright orange tablecloth. Who knows? Just imagining this now. There's the tablecloth coming off the table a little bit. There we go. Not the easiest to work with, of course, but it's an option. And if you were doing something like this, I mean, maybe you would have a few other tools with you or not. So I don't want you to, I always like having options, but I know that it's not always practical for everybody or for me. But just say you just kind of got it worked in. Kind of have a table, kind of have that in the background. We were there, that was the day, that, and then you just like start writing about it. Yeah. Let's see, I don't even know. But we'll call it Cafe Nono. Best cappuccino, whatever. You could start writing all about it. You could journal all around the whole thing. You could, and talk about what your conversation was about and how much fun you had together or whatever. But you have something to take home. You can always go back in, of course, and fix up some of those areas because all I did was just do over the top of I can come back in with this and let's say I wanted to do a little bit more definition, right? I could do that. I could go back in, fix things and make it better. I don't think that was a good choice, but anyway, whatever. Okay. Okay, and I went down to Rome now and I'm gonna paint one of the mini beautiful fountains there, not paint, but sketch one of the many beautiful fountains there. There's so much sculpture there. That's always fun to focus on and sketch possibly. So let's see if I can make this one work. Oftentimes, it's nice just to do like light. This is going to be really light. Let's see it. Yeah, okay. So just kind of getting this sculpture in a meaningful way. I'm going to catch our lights and our darks. So as you're looking at a sculpture, instead of trying to just get super detailed with it, because again, you probably have people with you that are anxious to go get gelato, and you're making them stop while you sketch this statue. Doesn't always go over well. I'll tell you firsthand experience. But that's okay, because you're going to do it, and you just do it quick, and you're just going to get the idea of it, and that's enough, you know, because you gave everybody the opportunity to take a break and all those steps and actually look and admire and maybe throw a coin in and all of the things that you do when in Rome. So kind of just getting the idea of that guy up there on top. He's kind of leaning on the structure here. That's the water drip down below. And then the fountain's coming, the pond comes around, sort of like that, and it's dripping down there. So as long as that was kind of enough of the idea, if I want and have time, I can get some of those buildings in the back, but you can also leave them out. It's really okay. Windows. Yeah, if you get to spend longer there because everybody else went off to get gelato, they gave up on you, then start getting details in. Start looking at some of those, just the beautiful carvings and stuff in the marble and in the buildings. It's the details and the amount of detail they put in there. So anyway, you can get just the idea of it like that. You can kind of call it a day or keep looking at it. So remembering we're going for the darks against the lights. So noticing those really dark darks, you can go in with hash marks. If you are just working in a pen or pencil, you can just really color it in dark there. If you're going for color, you can go for color. Now the water's coming down here, and oftentimes, if I've had to fill in water, especially like a waterfall, water in motion, I might make indications for it like that. Water's coming off there and it's floating around. Actually, I want water floating around. I want to have it's floating around like here. Looks in the way. And it gives enough of an idea. Then again, later I can come back in and I can add color. Let's see if I was just adding color with colored pencils instead this time. Let's try that. What do I have with me? Sometimes it's just like, yeah, what did you bring with you? Did I bring any that really capture the way the sky was? I don't think so. Yeah, best colored pencils are at my studio. So maybe I will just do the watercolors, but you get the idea. If you wanted to use colored pencils, you can. If you want to use pastels, if you want to just go in with some a touch of watercolor for that sky. And framing it below with the water. So that's where the water's coming down. You kind of go in that way to get the idea of it. But what is a good thing sometimes to do is, let me get some of the buildings, is to, sorry, I got sidetracked. What a nice thing to do is going back in afterwards, after it dries, or even when you get home from your trip. And that's usually when I take care of lots of the water kind of things, because it needs to dry before I can go in with a white pen, which it can also happen later that night in the hotel room or your pension or wherever you're staying. You can come back in after the fact. That gets super dark in there when we have dark, and fix things up and start like manipulating stuff. It's like, okay, I really, you know, and it barely got his hand and all of the body parts, and that was coming back there. I really need something to anchor that in. And anyway, I can come back in with a white pen and go over and really get that sense of water in there. I can also, you know, go back in the, if you have your Sketch and Wash pencil and you want to get detail that way, you can go around that area of white. You can make it, you know, putting a dark against a light will help it to stand out a little better. So I can come back in here with that and get kind of the idea of that, where the water's pouring into that. And it's going to read fountain better, hopefully. But again, you do that with a white pen. You could do it by just surrounding more dark around it, kind of getting that idea of color there. Anyway, yeah. And again, this isn't watercolor paper, so but it's a mixed media paper. So that's something to consider. If you know you're going to be doing watercolor, then bring a watercolor sketchbook, you know, something a little bit more hefty than what I'm doing this on. It's kind of a cheaper one. So you want to do that, and then you'll have better results and it won't all wrinkle up, because I'm putting an awful lot of water down on here, which I just finished doing watercolor videos, so that's probably why. It's all right here and easy to grab. But you kind of get the idea, you move fast. That's hang on, let me get this back. Excuse my arm. There we go. Anyway, you want to move fast with this because you're traveling. So by practicing on places like Webcam Taxi, pick up the speed. Don't, you know, it's tempting to, of course, go, you know, if you want to draw from guidebooks like I just did, that's a great place to start. Then to Webcam Taxi, where things are moving and people are walking by, and maybe you'll start putting those people in the pictures too. Then if you really are traveling, when you really are traveling, you will be ready just to go in and get something down quickly, and you won't annoy the people that you're traveling with. If you're traveling alone, then yeah, just stay there, get every little detail, just soak it all in. But even then, you want to, like, I know when I travel, it's like I get impatient with myself because it's like there's so many things I try to cram into my time. But I don't know. I remember sitting in Renoir's garden in Montmartre, and oh my goodness, it was beautiful. I could have spent the entire day there, but I did spend like a couple of hours there just drawing and sketching. I sketched the swing of the famous painting where he had posed, oh, I forget her name, but anyway, posed her on the swing standing. So if you're familiar with that painting, I got to like just sit there and sketch that area. And it was just beautiful just to be there by myself and have nobody rushing me. I had, yeah, quite a few days in Paris alone once, and it was just like, whoa, so I feel so well traveled. I'm really not, but I got to do that. So that, and my time in Giverny too was like, oh my gosh, you know, but I needed to catch it really fast because I wasn't allowed to be, you have to have a permit to be there painting, and I didn't. And so I had my pastels in my bag and I just whipped them out on the trail, and it's like, I just sketched as fast as I could and nobody said stop. So I just did it. But, you know, so just do what you can do. Practice going fast because sometimes you'll need to go fast. Practice slowing down because that's where all the pleasure and the joy is. Main thing is just have fun. Don't worry about making these perfect drawings. This is about really more about the looking, like we've talked about. It's about seeing and absorbing and just all the culture, all the beautiful things. You know, draw your breakfast in the morning or your, you know, whatever. Draw what out, you know, your view from your room, even if it's just this kind of weird. I remember, yeah, in all my times in Paris, but anyway, a couple of times, I had this really odd view once. And the other time, you had to like put your head way out the window and kind of crane your neck a little bit, and you could see the Eiffel Tower. So it was great. But draw your view from your window, and it's even if it's just of another building, it's kind of fun just to remember. Or draw your, you know, sketch your hotel room, what it looked like, and then write about it. Write a, you know, write a few words. It doesn't have to be much, but write something that's going to remind you, you know, what was special, what was your high that day, you know, highs and lows, what was the best part of the day. And I think just sitting down and really, you know, spending that kind of time is going to just really enrich this vacation, which we don't get many of. So hopefully you'll make the most of it and have a great time, realizing that the sun is going down. But anyway, all right. Again, if you have things that I haven't covered, email me before Wednesday. If not, then bring your sketchbooks, and we are going to do some webcam taxi, I hope, and maybe a couple other ideas. So I will see you in the Zoom, and enjoy this week. All right. Bye, everybody.